by Robin Murphy. Mama was laying on a hospital bed that had been set up in the middle of the living room and the house where she and my father lived. She was in an old nightgown and her hair was partially gray, something I don't believe I'd ever seen. My mother, Pauline, was always meticulous about keeping her hair dyed red and covering the grays before anyone saw them. She wore no makeup either, not even the red lipstick that was her signature. Her face looked more deeply lined with wrinkles than I'd ever seen. Mama looked down at her breasts and sighed.
They used to be so perky. I always got compliments.
You know you're always beautiful to me, Mama.
You want to see what I've been doing?
She picked up a paper and held it limply in her hand, resting it in her lap. She weakly lifted it to hand to me. The paper was covered edge to edge in color, drawings, movement, life. Mama, did you make this?
It's just a little scribble I made.
It's beautiful. It really was. The lines were shaky and the images were not always clearly something identifiable, but it had a passion and energy that made it exciting and compelling. There were animals and trees, houses, women in dresses, animals of different types, roads, rolling hills.
I always wanted to draw and paint.
I thought back to the paintings I remembered her making 20 years ago using unusual techniques and materials. I thought about the walls she painted with pictures in part of her house. I thought about the old furniture she bought and repainted, decorating it with flowers and little animals. I thought about the quilts and crafts she spent so much time working on. Mama, you are an artist. You make so much.
No, I never really did it. I never really found the time. I'm getting too weak to draw now.
Mama, I never knew you wanted to spend more time on art. Mama and I loved each other deeply, but we never shared a lot of personal details about hopes and dreams. Mama was a farm girl born in 1931 who was a homemaker and raised 6 children. I was born in 1973 at the height of the feminist movement, went to college, had a full-time job, and was the primary wage earner in my family. It was always hard for us to connect. She didn't know much about connecting emotionally and intellectually and didn't make that a priority in our relationship when I was growing up. Still, she showed me she loved me in a million acts of service and caretaking every day. How come I never knew that about you?
Oh, I guess it just didn't make sense to talk about it. There was so much else to do. And for a long time, we didn't have money for such things.
Mama, I always thought you just wanted to be a mother and take care of Dad. I thought you didn't care about things like art. I wish I knew. You know, I do some painting too.
Well, I did want to be a mom. I loved all you kids and your dad. But I always had ideas about painting and drawing and maybe one day selling them. So, you want to paint too. I remember you used to paint when you were a little girl.
Yes. I've been taking classes for a couple years now. I think I'm starting to get decent at it. I'll bring you one of my paintings, Mama.
Oh, I would really like that.
The next day, I brought her one of my favorite paintings, a landscape that looks a little like the farm she grew up on. I put it near her bed so she could look at it anytime. She loved it and made me lean over her so she could try to hug me, but her arms were too weak to do more than place around my shoulders, so I hugged her extra hard for both of us. Mama passed away only a week after that, on November 1st, the Day of the Dead. In the months before her passing, she did things differently. She lived differently. She spent time on drawings and paintings. She tried to emotionally connect more deeply with her children and grandchildren, and she made space in her life for the kind of conversations that were hard to have before. She seemed to be trying to make up for lost time. I will forever cherish those last months when my narrative about who my mother is changed and deepened in ways I couldn't have anticipated. My mother had stories in her that she never got the chance to live, dreams that she never shared. I decided that the best way to honor her life would be to look at my life and understand if I was spending my precious and limited time in ways that I wouldn't regret. Mama had just had her 84th birthday when she passed. I was 42 then, exactly half her age. If I was lucky enough to live to her age when she passed, that meant I was exactly halfway through my life. That made me stop and take a deep look at the first half to decide if that's what I wanted the second half to look like. In looking at how I'd been living, there were some things I devoted time and attention to that were really valuable to me. My kids, my husband, spending meaningful time with my closest friends, learning through classes and reading, taking art classes, keeping my body healthy and strong. But I was also spending a lot of time on things that weren't valuable, arguments about things I didn't really care about, trying to show up for acquaintances that didn't return my investments, and a demanding and unpleasant job. Seeing Mama's regrets spurred me to look at my life and find ways to spend time and effort on things that didn't serve me, and more on things that brought me joy and meaning. I had always wanted to learn piano, and I started taking lessons. I spent more time doing fun things with my kids. I stopped getting into arguments about things that weren't truly important to me. And it turns out that very few things are worth arguing about. It's been more than a decade since Mama passed, and my life is better in every way because she was brave enough to show me her dreams at the end and let me understand her regret. Thank you, Mama.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
Sunshine, you make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never